Section 9. Fiduciary Duty, Arizona Commissioner's Standards, Requirements for Licensees. Introduction. The responsibility behind the license. Jessica always thought her job was to help clients buy and sell homes, show properties, negotiate deals, get to closing. But after everything she had learned so far, she realized something bigger. Her role wasn't just to help, it was to protect. Because in Arizona real estate, a license doesn't just give you permission to work. It creates a fiduciary duty, and that duty is one of the highest legal obligations you can owe to another person. This section is where everything starts to come together: law, ethics, disclosure, and real-world decision-making, all under one standard. Put your client first, but never ignore the law. What is fiduciary duty in Arizona real estate under AAC? R4 28-1101, a licensee owes a fiduciary duty to their client and must protect and promote the client's interests. At the same time, the licensee must deal fairly with all other parties in the transaction. This creates a balance that every agent must understand. You are an advocate for your client, but you are also required to act honestly and fairly with everyone involved. This is where many agents get confused. They think fiduciary duty means do whatever it takes to win for your client. It doesn't. It means protect your client within the boundaries of the law and professional conduct. Disclosure, the heart of fiduciary duty. One of the most important components of fiduciary duty is disclosure. A licensee must disclose, in writing, any information that materially or adversely affects the consideration to be paid by any party in the transaction. This includes situations where the seller may not be able to perform, the buyer may not be able to perform, there are material defects in the property, or there are liens or encumbrances affecting the property. This is not optional. It is a legal obligation. Jessica once had a situation where a seller hinted that they might be struggling financially and could have trouble closing. She wondered if she should keep that confidential to protect her client. But under Arizona law, if that information materially affects the transaction, it must be disclosed. That's the difference between loyalty and legality. Real-world example: the "I didn't think it mattered" mistake. An agent knew that a roof had been patched multiple times but never fully replaced. The seller downplayed it, and the agent didn't think it was a big deal. The property went under contract, and the issue came up during inspection. The buyer claimed the defect should have been disclosed earlier. Now the agent wasn't just dealing with an unhappy client. They were facing a potential complaint for failing to disclose a material defect. The lesson is simple. If it affects value, desirability, or the ability to perform, it must be disclosed. Performance. Acting quickly and responsibly. Fiduciary duty also requires that a licensee perform all acts in a timely manner. Delays, whether intentional or due to neglect, can harm a client's position in a transaction. This includes responding to offers, submitting documents, communicating updates, and moving the transaction forward. In a competitive market, even a small delay can cost a client the deal. Jessica learned that being a great agent isn't just about knowledge. It's about execution and urgency. Commission disputes cannot interfere with the transaction. A licensee is prohibited from allowing a dispute with another licensee to interfere with the progress of a transaction. This means that even if there is a disagreement over commission, communication, or terms, the transaction itself must remain the priority. However, this does not mean a licensee must give up their contractual rights. They can still pursue compensation or resolve disputes, but not at the expense of the client's transaction. This is another example of balancing business interests with fiduciary duty. Conflicts of interest must be disclosed. Transparency is a key part of fiduciary duty. A licensee must disclose in writing any present or potential conflicts of interest before entering into a binding agreement. This includes situations where the licensee is acting as a principal in the transaction, when a family member is involved, when the broker or employing brokerage is involved, or when the licensee has any financial interest beyond normal compensation. These disclosures protect all parties by ensuring that no one is misled about the relationships involved in the transaction. Jessica once considered purchasing a property listed in her own office. She realized that without proper disclosure, that situation could quickly become a compliance issue. Representation and compensation rules. A licensee cannot represent more than one party in a transaction without the prior written consent of all parties. This is the foundation of dual agency and requires full transparency and agreement from everyone involved. Additionally, a licensee cannot accept compensation related to a transaction without prior written acknowledgement from the party paying or receiving the service. This prevents hidden payments, undisclosed incentives, and conflicts that could harm the integrity of the transaction. The rule is simple: no surprises when it comes to money or representation. Competency, knowing your limits. Fiduciary duty also includes recognizing your own limitations. A licensee should not provide services outside their area of expertise unless they bring in a qualified professional or fully disclose their lack of experience to the client. For example, if an agent is unfamiliar with commercial transactions, complex investment properties, or specialized land issues, they must either seek assistance or inform the client. This protects both the client and the licensee from making costly mistakes. Jessica realized that asking for help wasn't a weakness. It was part of being a professional. Reasonable care and due diligence. A licensee must exercise reasonable care in obtaining and communicating information that is material to the client's interests. This includes verifying details, sharing accurate information, and helping the client confirm facts relevant to the transaction. Importantly, the law does not require a licensee to be an expert in every field. However, it does require that the licensee take reasonable steps to guide the client toward accurate and reliable information. This is where recommending inspectors, attorneys, or specialists becomes part of fiduciary duty. Bringing it all together, trust is the real currency. Fiduciary duty is not just a legal concept. It is the foundation of trust in every real estate transaction. Clients trust agents with financial decisions, personal goals, and major life changes. The law reinforces that trust by holding licensees to a higher standard. Jessica realized that every decision she made, what to disclose, how quickly to act, how transparent to be, either strengthened or weakened that trust. The agents who build long-term success are the ones who understand that fiduciary duty is not a burden. It's the reason clients come back. Online discussion. 1. Why does fiduciary duty require both loyalty to the client and fairness to all parties? Answer. Because real estate transactions involve multiple parties, and while a licensee must protect their client's interests, they must also ensure honesty and fairness to maintain integrity and comply with the law. 2. What is the biggest risk of failing to disclose material information? Answer. The biggest risk is legal liability, disciplinary action, and loss of trust, which can lead to complaints, lawsuits, and damage to the agent's reputation. 3. Why is it important for a licensee to recognize their own limitations in a transaction? Answer. Because providing services outside of one's expertise can lead to errors, liability, and harm to the client, making it essential to seek assistance or disclose limitations.